Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, it is now officially 2025, and I want to welcome you to Season 4 of Sue's Healthy Minutes. Today, as I write this, it is New Year's Day, and for our family, we're still in holiday mode. We have had kids and grandkids in and out for the past week, and now even today, I am awaiting the arrival of my daughter and son-in-law and 5 of my grandchildren from Virginia. So I'll keep it short, but I just want to share with each of you a word of encouragement for your journey to better health this year. I know the new year often brings new resolve to make wiser health choices, but it saddens me that we have made healthy eating way too complicated. The conflicting fad diets of low carb, no carb, high protein, keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, macro, micro counting, calorie counting, all can cause our heads to spin and often has us confused about what is healthy and what is not, especially now that we have this conflicting information readily available at our fingertips with such easy access to the internet. And sadly, I hate to break it to you, but not everything we read on the internet is correct. Shocker, I know. Sarcasm intended. But all of this still leaves us asking the question, does healthy eating really have to be so complicated or difficult? So my encouraging word to you today is absolutely not. As I begin my yearly journey through the Bible again today, I am reminded as I read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, that God gave us real food to nourish our bodies. It says there in Genesis 1:29, and God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the land, and every tree with seed in its fruit, so you shall have them for food." What an amazing God to give us these two types of food. Fruit with seed in them, of course, refers to all of our fruits and vegetables, all wonderfully nutritious and providing us with vitamins, minerals, enzymes, and fiber. But without preservation, what happens to these foods over time? Of course, they rot and decay. And as they rot and decay, they are losing nutritional value as well. And without methods of preservation, we are left needing more. And so God also gave us additional plants for food with plants that bear seeds. These, of course, include all of our grains and dry beans. Grains and beans are perhaps one of the most nutrient-dense food groups God has given us. They are loaded with vitamins, minerals, enzymes, phytonutrients, and both soluble and insoluble fiber. But unlike fruits and vegetables, these group of nutrient-dense food, they are perfectly storable. Stored as seeds, whole and intact, they retain all of their nutritional value, making them a perfect year-round storable food. For years, I have been teaching what I titled Healthy Eating Simplified, and I came up with 7 basic steps to promote good health. These steps are certainly not all-encompassing, but following the basic principles can be easy to incorporate into any lifestyle without being overly complicated or perhaps most importantly, restrictive. In fact, the basic overall principle is to simply eat real food. By real food, I mean food that is created by God to nourish our bodies and to eat it as close to the way as He created it as possible. In other words, don't alter God's design. Or, for example, eat the apple, the real whole apple, instead of the apple-flavored fruit bar. What is more exciting, though, is that there are no restrictions here. You get to choose what you want to eat and whether you want to be a meat eater, a vegetarian, a vegan, or whatever else you choose that fits your taste and your lifestyle. One of the best books I have ever read on healthy eating is What the Bible Says About Healthy Living by the late Dr. Rex Russell. He lays out just 3 basic principles so simplistically. Number 1, eat real food. Number 2, don't alter God's design. And number 3, avoid food addictions. He explains that if you are addicted to a food, it is most likely something that man has greatly altered, overly processed with additives such as sugar, caffeine, fat, and or salt to make you want or need more. Each chapter of his book is then dedicated to each food group and the nutritional benefits of those foods. It is a great book that will leave you feeling encouraged that eating healthy and getting healthy are very reachable goals. And the good news today is that our regular grocery stores are loaded with real food choices. By real food, I mean real meat, real eggs, real butter, real dairy, real fruit, and real vegetables. And I'm sure you have all heard the saying, just shop the perimeter. You still have to make wise food choices even there, but the point is, real food is readily available. And now with so many farmers markets and natural food stores making farm-to-table produce locally available, our choices can be even better. But of course, there is one real food that is still not readily available in the regular grocery store or even health food stores for that matter, and that is real bread. The crackers, cakes, cookies, snacks, and bread that line the shelves of the grocery store are denatured, overly processed grain products. Even those labeled whole grain are not what they are cracked up to be, pun intended. Real bread is bread made from freshly milled flour. Without making your own whole grain bread from freshly milled flour, it will be difficult, if not impossible, to obtain all the remarkable nutritional benefits God provided for us through real whole grains, the seeds, and the bread. Though my overall principle is eat real food, my first step to real healthy eating will always be to get a grain mill and make all of your own flour products from freshly milled whole grain flour. For our ancestors of 100 years ago, whole grains and real bread were the staples of their diets. They did not suffer the cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and obesity as we do today. In fact, in 1900, America was considered one of the healthiest of 93 industrialized countries surveyed. But since 1920, America's health has continued to rapidly decline. Today, America is one of the world leaders in chronic sickness and disease, as well as obesity. What happened to cause such a drastic shift in our health? Well, one connection stands out for sure. Prior to the 1900s, most of the bread consumed in America was baked at home. Freshly milled flour was either obtained from a local miller or people had small mills in their home so that the flour could be milled as needed and used before the flour would spoil. Left whole and intact, grains are storable and retain all their nutritional value. But the bran and germ portions of the whole grain contain many vital nutrients to good health that oxidize quickly once milled into flour, and the germ portion contains oils that go rancid as well. But a discovery was made that changed our bread forever. In the late 1800s, huge steel rolling mills were invented that could sift the bran and germ portions away from the protein and starch portion known as the endosperm, or to you and me, white flour. These steel rolling mills could produce massive volumes of long-lasting white flour that would not spoil. Thinking this a wonderful discovery, the steel rolling mills gradually replaced the local millers, and by 1905, 1910, white flour and white bread became the preferred food and bread for everyone, rich and poor alike. But three diseases, beriberi, pellagra, and anemia, soon became epidemic in America, puzzling health officials throughout the country. They eventually traced the outbreak of these diseases to the nutrients missing in particularly the B vitamins and iron no longer available in the new white flour with the removal of the bran and germ. They urged the millers to put the bran and germ portions back into the flour, but the millers refused, not wanting to sacrifice their new financial endeavor of selling the bran and germ byproducts of this milling process to the animal feed industry. It took until around 1948 for the government to step in and mandate the white flour be enriched. But for the 25 to 30 or more nutrients lost by removing the bran and germ, only 4 were replaced: 3 B vitamins and iron. It would take another 50 years of watching the rising incidence of birth defects for the enrichment mandate to include folic acid. And supposedly, this enrichment got rid of beriberi, pellagra, and anemia. But unfortunately, the synthetic vitamins and minerals used to enrich or fortify the flour are often forms that our bodies cannot readily absorb, even leading to other issues of malabsorption, such as MTHFR, which is the inability to utilize the synthetic folic acid in the enriched flour products. The invention of the steel rolling mill seemed like a wonderful advancement to the bread making world, but was a significant turning point in America's health history, one you may never read about in history books. You see, white flour and white bread have always been around, but prior to the 1900s, the consumption of white bread was reserved for the wealthy or royalty who could afford to pay for this delicious, fluffy bread to be made for them by sifting out the coarse bran and germ. But Proverbs 14:12 tells us that there is a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is death. And again, Proverbs 23 verse 1 warns us that we should be careful when we sit down at the king's table, and we should not crave his dainties and his delicacies. They are deceitful food. And it even goes on to say that it can lead to gluttony. But unfortunately, rich and poor alike craved the new white bread, and today we have a whole host of diseases that can be biblically and scientifically traced to our overconsumption of commercially processed bread. Today, much of the food offered in the grocery store is so altered for convenience by processing and preserving and flavored and colored that it can hardly be called food at all. America is now one of the fattest nations in the world, as well as a world leader in heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. Asthma has increased by 200% in the past years, and the number of children with type 2 diabetes is alarming. Americans, old and young alike, are dependent on allergy relief medications, antihistamines, and constipation and serious bowel issues are no longer an old person's problem. But I told you I wanted to encourage you today. Years ago, I used to listen to the teaching of an older woman who taught healthy eating and nutrition. In all of her lectures, she would always say, if you want to change the health of your family, the first and most important step you can take is buy a grain mill and make your own bread. In all of my years of studying the health benefits of whole grain and freshly milled flour and making all the bread for my family, I have never seen one simple change bring about such significant, immediate, and noticeable changes in health. For me, way back in 1992, 33 years ago now, when I first started on this journey, In the very first day, my struggle with constipation was ended, never to be a problem again. And within a few weeks, I experienced significant increase in my energy, but my sugar cravings greatly diminished. No more energy slumps in the afternoon coupled with a craving for sugar or caffeine. My frequent bouts with colds, sinus infection, and strep throat, and even chronic headaches, all gone. My lifelong dependence on a daily use of antihistamines is over, and I can joyfully proclaim that I have not needed an antihistamine or a decongestant of any kind since 1992, 33 years ago. And I honestly cannot remember the last time I had a headache or needed to take a pain reliever. My children are all grown now and have their own homes, but growing up, their health improved drastically as well. No more snotty noses, ear infections, or frequent illnesses or needed trips to the doctor. In the 25 years of child rearing after Real Bread came into our home, my children only required 2 trips to the doctor for an illness. That is almost unheard of today for many families, maybe most families. All of these health benefits have been an added blessing for all of these years. And the icing on the cake, so to speak, the bread is delicious and easy to incorporate and enjoy with every meal. It saddens me that the bread consumed in America gives carbohydrates such a bad reputation, because real whole grains and real bread made from freshly milled flour are some of the healthiest foods you could possibly eat. And our bodies need these good carbohydrates for energy. So my encouragement to you today, despite all the negative information about bread, remember this: milling your own flour is one of the healthiest resolutions and goals you can set for yourself. Real whole grains and real bread made from freshly milled flour are not only a great source of complex carbohydrates, but are high in protein and fiber as well. I love finding bread verses in the Bible. One of the most sobering yet inspiring verses for me was when I discovered Deuteronomy 24, verse 6. We often get bogged down in the book of Deuteronomy, but this verse literally had me jumping with excitement when I first discovered it. God cares about every aspect of our lives. His word tells us how to love Him, love ourselves, and how to love and treat each other. In the early days of the Israelites, the days of Deuteronomy, it was customary to take a pledge from someone when making a loan to them. The pledge was something of value that the borrower would give the lender with a promise that they would repay. But God had a law for something that was forbidden to be taken as a pledge. In Deuteronomy 24, verse 6, God declares, "Do not take a man's upper millstone as a pledge, for you would be taking a life." God knew the necessity of milling flour to make bread for maintaining life and health. Therefore, the capacity to mill your flour was equated with the very life of a person. For more than 30 years now, I've been teaching the health benefits of whole grains and real bread, and I am as passionate today about this lifestyle change as I was 35 years ago when I started on this journey. I can honestly say that it is the most life-changing of physical health resolutions that I have ever made. And hearing the many testimonies of others' improved health attributed to real bread is such an inspiration to me, and I hope to you as well. So how important is this first step of healthy living and improving your and your family's health? It could be your life. Milling your own flour and making your bread may seem hard at first, and I understand. And it is a financial as well as a time investment. But I'm telling you, it is so worth the investment, and the rewards, an amazing improvement in the quality of life of you and your family. And all of us here at Bread Beckers, we're here to help you. Check out our in-store classes as well as the ones we offer online on our YouTube channel. If you're a new listener to Sue's Healthy Minutes or you just want to be re-inspired, take a listen to some of the past episodes of It's the Bread Stories. And we have some great ones lined up for 2025. As we continue on this journey over the next few weeks, I will continue to share more of my 7 steps to healthy living to keep us all encouraged and moving forward into 2025. Hopefully, this will be a trend-breaking year for not ditching our New Year's resolutions before the end of January. So I want to thank you for listening today. Remember, real bread is the staff of life. And until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.